So I love to use communication. So I did take out some of the spirit boxes tonight. I make things nice and easy. Hopefully the ghost is going to make some kind of communication back. The next communication that we're going to use.
Good.
Perfect. Anybody else with a video camera? Go ahead and hit those record buttons. And let's get this party started. Any other words on there, Miss Joan? Kid.
K-I-D. Ready?
Yeah. Not yet. You don't know the history yet. You don't know what you're listening
You're
for.
so anxious.
She's eager. She's very eager. I love it. And what's funny is about that specific device, no matter how many pieces I use, that's when everybody's like, can I turn it on? Can I turn it on? Can I turn it on?
I know, I'm sorry.
So,
perfect cue.
Violence.
And Barry at the same time? Yeah, that's a little sketchy. That might
What temperature
actually
you
make
have?
sense, unfortunately.
Well,
I don't know if the violence piece will be, but the
well-being.
Barry and Kid will be. That'll make a sense here in just a few months.
Well-being
Yeah, well-being.
and sick.
The gasps are killing me over here. Oh no!
But you can't turn it on yet.
I know. Don't turn it on yet. No.
He's trying to tell me something.
Well, I'm going to give you the history. You guys ready for this?
All right.
We're ready.
Welcome to a parking lot, everybody. Congrats, you made it. Told you, I'm taking you to weird spots. So the other ghost tours don't come here because there's nothing to see. You have to imagine, normally I would allow my groups, like when I give them the history, we're going to spread out. We are going to stay together as a group because we're only using one noisy spirit box and I want you all to hear it. So once I give you the history, we will turn on Donna's device and we'll ask a few questions, and I'm going to withhold that information of what the answers actually are. So that way, if we hear the answer, I'll be able to verify it. Is that fair?
That's fair.
All right. So this used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion. Their mansion sat in the front of this space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across, and the servant and slave quarters were in the back of the space. That's the layout of the land. Who the heck were these people? So if any of you actually do South Carolina history, I see a lot of head nodding already, like, oh, okay, I see where we're at.
Whitney was a signer of the Declaration of Independence.
You beat me to the punch. So the son and the nephew. Let me tell the story. You guys are killing me here.
Sorry,
Like he's got a piece, she's got a piece.
We have a lot of time on our hands, so we know stuff.
I know you guys know stuff. Now, Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. That's why we kind of look for those secondary clues, like the Art and 40 over there. In the event we hear the name Charles, I'm hoping to get the verifier of which Charles it is on another device. Does that make sense? Perfect.
Yep.
So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution. It's a big deal for us, but I do hate politics more than anybody in the world. We're going to move on. If I don't give those 2 gentlemen that recognition, they will give me a very nasty message on a spirit box. So I do it every single night. We're going to talk about Eliza instead because her indigo story to me is way more compelling. Eliza marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards. I say that because if we're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, let's not look for numbers that were from colonial days of where she came from, like 12 and 14, when young ladies got married. Think of today's standards because her husband was over double her age when they married. Kind of a creepy age gap then, a creepy age gap now. She married her husband because her father was over in England. He thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his children home one last time. Eliza did not believe he was dying right away, so she stayed put and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card because we're not a country yet. She did marry him out of love. This is a true love story, believe it or not. And this was her best friend. So, she was right, by the way. Her father did not die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where you're standing. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Now, indigo is a plant that makes blue dye. Sorry, I don't think I have teenagers in front of me. I don't think I have to explain that. I'm going to move on. Sorry, normally I have a bunch of kids in front of me, and I have to explain what indigo is.
Senate.
Oh, we'll take that.
Yeah.
We were just talking about 2 congressional signers.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. I want more to verify it. But
What'd you say?
It says Senate.
And why are these going crazy?
Oh, that's just part of the aesthetic to scare people.
Okay.
Don't pay any attention to that. So anyway, back to Eliza. When she got her seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. It's not always hot here. She had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it cultivated. And then she learned how to make the dye and moved it to a cash crop down by the Stono River. So, once she learned how to make the dye, she got a hold of her father, told him, rice plantation prices are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with this indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial days, something absolutely unheard of. You guys ought to see me during Women's History Month. Like, I'm a big hit. We talk about a lot of females. So, basically, we're going to focus on, obviously, the questions of Eliza's age, at the time she got married, but 4 major questions that we normally get the answers to, because she's pretty open to talking about her death. So we're going to ask how old she was, and that's going to be just one question, how she died, where she's buried, and which president was a pallbearer at her funeral.
Okay.
Don't give away all the answers. I told you guys are all going to have little tidbits of all this history. I knew this was going to happen. So, with that said, do we have anything else on the word list right now? Stella.
And you had car.
She doesn't know what a car is.
Yeah, had to be Washington.
So, pay attention to your EMF readings. Those of you with video cameras, third Joan back there, are you recording?
Yeah.
Hit that white button.
Oh, I got it.
Perfect. It'll turn red. You're already recording
I'm
on your
recording,
end?
yeah.
So where's my thermal? Where did that one
Right
go?
here.
You got that thing? Does it look like a square? Is it a complete circle? Yeah, you want to tap that red circle, it'll turn into a square. Okay.
Gotcha.
There we go. Unmute. Let's do this. Okay, everybody listen in, and we're going to see how this goes. It's going to get a little blurby from time to time. Eliza, if you're here, this group would like to know how old you were when you passed away. We're going to stay together tonight as a group instead of wandering around all asking questions. So, can you tell us how old you were when you passed away? Now you can see when a voice comes through, it's very distinctive because most of it's going to be static. Just heard do. Eliza, how old were you when you passed away? Thought I heard like Maria out of that. Did anybody else hear that?
Oh, a song.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do use the radio chatter to try to get that communication. And you'd be really surprised at how much of that actually comes through where it's a direct answer. Eliza, let's redirect and maybe ask something else about where we are. Can you tell us what happened to your beautiful mansion? Where did it go? How's the letter list? Where did that go? Who has that? Do you have anything showing up there?
A U.
Just a U? Eliza, can you tell us what happened to your mansion, please? We come with respect, as always. Getting a whole lot of static. Any other words? Going off there.
Leadership.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Of course, the car goes by. Bless you again. Eliza, we've asked you a few questions. Feel free to answer either one of those.
No.
Oh, tell?
I heard like tell me.
Oh, tell me.
Eliza. I'm going to tell the rest of the story, but you need to give us at least a few pieces of the gaps. So you guys can all see how difficult this can be. It takes a lot of patience to sit here and listen to this. I hear letters. What do you got? For Pinckney. Anything else on there? Still on leadership? Any numbers showing up on our EMF readers?
What temperature you at?
14.6. I'll take
14.6.
And it just went to 2.3.
that. Yep.
Oh.
I guess I need to do something. I had it behind
Yeah.
me. Ooh, 9.7, back to 0.1. I say something?
Absolutely. Go for it. It's your night.
Elijah, the women here admire you so much. 2 centuries later.
3.6. Yeah,
Elijah, give us a word of comfort.
Had like 9.7 and 2.8.
A bit of a heavy metal music.
That's some of your flattery would work.
4.6.
Not flattery, I'm to admire her. That's a great story,
Yes.
Indigo Girl.
And no other words are showing up there. Describe, no letters.
2.
Yeah, got a whole lot of nothing going on. We have then. Oh. Eliza, we're trying to show you trust. By all means,
That's a word of encouragement.
it was. But still really vague. It's nothing super specific.
Yeah,
It's
no,
more conversational
no.
than anything.
Right. Is it likely to come through there or not?
Do I know where she died? Oh, you all don't know that.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We might
I don't
find
reveal all the answers until we actually do a little investigating. So that way you're not looking for something specific.
That's a great
Are there
idea.
nights where she doesn't connect?
But
Are there nights where she doesn't?
there are nights when this is a little lighter. And I'll be honest, it's normally Friday, Saturday nights when it's super hustle bustle down here.
That makes sense.
Too shy.
A little bit. Eliza, would you like us to close this down? I'll take a yes/no answer at this point.
You just.
That's
That's right. There you
So
go.
she wants us to close it down.
That's
okay.
right.
Mute it up.
Okay. All right. So let's
Okay.
cover the answers. So for some of you looking around at this device going, oh, it might be pre-programmed. It might actually have some recordings in there.
Right.
We could slow it down and I'll show you the live radio stations if you really want to see how this works. But again, this is, I normally have 4 or 5 of these running when I have my standard groups. And they usually have an earbud in. So they're the only ones to hear it in real time, and they're actually off asking their own questions and those kind of things, and they get their own answers. So that's half the fun of this. So let's kind of, what I'm excited about is we did get all the way up to a 14.6 on the EMF reader. So did you get anything out of yours?
No.
Richard? AH. Maybe those are all your gasps. So Richard, no colors out of yours? No. Nothing at all? Interesting. Yours is usually the most sensitive, but I would say that Gail's is probably the most accurate. All right, so let's kind of cover these answers a little bit and kind of show you how we look at some of these answers and see how they all tie together. So normally, I would hand out the questions when I have a lot of communication devices out, and they're all spread out, of the maiden name. The reason why, this is Eliza Lucas Pinckney.
No.
This is the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. The first wife dies in January of 1744. He marries this one 5 months later. Yeah, kind of a jerk move, gentlemen, if you really think about it. So, ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. So I normally hand out the question of, figure out which Eliza we're dealing with by asking for the maiden names. This one obviously being Lucas. The first one was Eliza Lamb Pinckney. So, Lamb and Lucas will show up on different types of communication devices. We've even had it spelled out for us on Janie's device. So Lamb is a 4-letter word, very easy for them to be able to communicate that back. This wife, the second one, marries Charles at the age of 22. Charles was 45. That's creepy to me because I'm close to Charles's age and my oldest daughter is Eliza's age.
Yeah.
So that kind of tells you why it's a creepy age gap for me.
Right.
I normally, you guys even heard me ask, like, hey, tell us what happened to the mansion. This is one of the very few photos of the mansion that we know that exists. This is fire damage from the Great Fire of 1861.
I was guessing.
In the event that we get something from the words like fire, burning, or blaze, we will often get 2 or 3 numbers from the date of this occurrence. This happened on December 11th of 1861. You can imagine my excitement when very exact numbers like 12, 11, and 61 will show up with the word fire. So again, that's very exciting things. Every tour in town tells you about a fire in town. You guys already... there wasn't much of a structure left. we've had dozens of fires here in Charleston. You guys already knew that. But this is the fire that took out the mansion. Obviously, you're looking at a map of the peninsula, and we are standing on a tiny little green dot right there. So this was about $9 million worth of damage back then. I don't know what it equates to now because inflation changed again yesterday. Because that's just the way our world works. So the children, we didn't even touch base on the children other than Charles. I am going to tell you very briefly about the children, just so you know what I'm looking for when I'm kind of going through all of your data. Charles, signer of the Constitution. The next child I bring up is Thomas. He fought in a Revolutionary War battle, the Battle of Camden, just southwest of here, and he was shot in his left leg and captured by the British. When the British released him, he was left on a cane and a limp. So any portrait you'll find of Thomas after that battle is of his right side to hide his left leg with a cane over his lap. So you can see the very specific clues that will pop up around Thomas. The next child is baby George. This is where things might get a little hairy with what you have going on. And you already see where this one's going because of his name of what I called him, baby George. Baby George in June of 1747 was born and passed away. Now, his death certificate only says June 1747 in both the birth and death columns, which means we don't know if he was only a few days old or if he was a few weeks old. My guess is that it's 1747, and you wouldn't name a child back then until they were christened. He was at least 2 weeks old minimum, is my guesstimate. So again, take that for what it's worth. A lot of research goes into this. The other crazy thing about George is he does not have a headstone, he does not have a grave. I have a theory. The church may have allowed the family to mummify him and keep him right here in the home, in a tomb, waiting for the mother to pass away, Eliza, so that way he could be buried with her. It's a great possibility since there's no headstone, no grave. There's no proof of it anywhere, but it is kind of a creepy and endearing thought all at the same time based on our religious standards today, correct?
Is that something that was done?
What's that?
Is that something that was done?
Absolutely. It was a religious practice.
Yeah.
I know. It's weird, but according to the way we think about things today.
Right. Okay.
It'll get more weird when I tell you about Eliza's death. One more child. Her name was Harriet. She's the only daughter. She marries Daniel Horry. Where's Horry County, everybody? You all know where that is, right?
Right.
Myrtle Beach. So it's 2.5 hours north of here for us. Wouldn't have been a 2.5 hour car ride for Eliza. Lots of letter writing. So we do get words like quill, ink, paper, published, anything relative to letter writing when we do hear from Harriet. It's very seldom. It's not very often at all. Eliza's death, which is what we were focused on. She was 70 years old when she passed away in 1793. I will point out that is a long time for a person to be alive back in the colonial days.
Right.
So I normally have to point that out to younger people because they're like, really? I'm like, yes, that is a long time. She was going to Philadelphia getting treatments for whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what breast cancer was in 1793. We're going based off her medical records today. So she died in Philly. She's buried in Philly. I should raise two questions in the back of your brain. First thing is, baby George. My theory's true. They're going to transport that tomb from here all the way to Philadelphia by horse and carriage. That's kind of a creepy thought to be that driver. So just put that in the back of your brain. The second thought is, if Eliza's in Philadelphia, what the hell are we doing here? I don't take you to actual cemeteries. I go to places of raised emotion. Eliza raised her family here, and you're not going to stare at your headstone once you all are gone. You're going to go to your mansion 400 miles away, which is exactly why I bring you to an empty parking lot. Because this is where the home was, this is where the raised emotion is. Last but not least, the president that was the pallbearer was indeed George Washington. So at his own request, he wanted to pay homage to Eliza based on her indigo that helped get our country started. The funny thing is when I have all of my Spirit Boxes teams out here, I normally get over here and say, all right, guys, I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, subliminally putting George Washington in the back of their brains, waiting to see who's going to come up with the answer by not knowing it automatically. So that way, if somebody does give me that answer, I just trick them. So I take their spirit box and I give it to somebody else. So I do that all the time. So because it doesn't happen all the time, but I usually tell people if pass or fail. 28.1. We will take that. Just so you know, that is, like I said, measuring the electricity around us. We got it all the way up to a 28. Your TV gives off about a 40 to 60. If that kind of gives you an idea of how much electricity is running around us right now. And we're going to be walking up to the next space, and absolutely. So the next space we're going to be going to is Philadelphia Alley. So if you've never been there, other tours may be in there. So we're going to be very cautious with our filming because they did not pay to get filmed. So just be very discreet here in a perfect mode.
Should I turn it off? Or?
Yeah, we don't need to record in between, but when we hit the alley, hit those. Actually coming down here, obvious reasons. So I try to stay away from all of the other ghost tours. But this is Philadelphia Alley. This used to be called Dueler's Alley. So this is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. And I say some simply because dueling was illegal and they had to find hiding spots. This happened to be one of them. So here's how this story goes. We're all telling the same story. I'm just giving you different details because you're ghost hunting. You're supposed to be looking and listening for certain things, right? So let's kind of go through this. Of course, this is going to be where every tour wants to interrupt us and cut right through. This is another reason why I want to get rid of the space. But doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If we hear a snippet from Brown Eyed Girl while we're down here, when we're listening to that, it's not coincidence. We get it all the time. It's part of his name. So again, take that for what it's worth.
Okay, we've got a group coming through.
Oh, perfect. Wait, split the C's, let them pass through. There's Joan's the lone wolf out there, all by her lonesome. Now you guys can see why I don't go to 20 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bigger than 20 people.
Yeah, it looks much larger than that.
We can actually be fined if we are caught with more than 20.
With more than 20, yeah. That's why I asked you.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just stay at 10 to 12 when we came out of the pandemic, and they're like, you got to be at half capacity. I was like, I'm already there. I'm good to go. So, but anyway, back to Dr. Ladd. He's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. She just inherited a bunch of money from her deceased parents, and she has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash flow. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda, get rid of that doctor. He comes to Charleston to prove that he's not after her money, and on his way into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay here, but somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. Here's where I stop. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. So on that, basically the letter device over there, we would get the letters RI from a regular spirit box. So I bought that specific device to see if we would get the very specific letters, and we have. Over the past 8 months, we've had it, I would say, about half a dozen times whenever I bring up Ralph's name. So we look for the letters RI while we're here. Now, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me. We're going to go to 59 Church Street, and you can rent a room from friends of mine, and you'll be safe and good to go. The doctor took him up on the offer, and the two gentlemen became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he's not after Amanda's cash. She gets wind of this, and she's moving down so they can be married.
Shoot.
We're in Dueler's Alley. Yes, that's the good stuff right there.
What are you saying?
It says the word shoot.
Shoot.
Oh, shoot.
So, you guys can all see where, like, that's a great clue. So, we're on the right path here. So, once Dr. Ladd hears that his fiancée is moving down here, yeah, and it's not necessarily stuck, is it'll just wait for that EMF spike.
Okay.
So, it works the exact same way all of the EMF readers do. So, it's reading the EMF and it stops the cursor. But he becomes known as the whistling doctor. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Any haunted city you're ever going to go to has a cliched whistling ghost. We all have one. Ours just happens to be a doctor. But anyway, back to Dr. Ladd and Ralph. They go see plays together. They cannot sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. So on the way home, they go see Richard III, and they're talking about this play and the new actress they just saw. Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. And it gets very ugly. They go their separate ways. I told you Ralph has friends around town. He goes and places an ad in the newspaper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Dr. Ladd saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. Somebody's going to die. Keep in mind that this argument started over an actress. So just want to point that all out. Anyway, they came down. They took their 10 paces away from each other. They turned. The doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up, which is often what happens at a duel. Ralph has this one bullet. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Yeah, another jerk move. I talk about a lot of jerks, gentlemen, just so you guys know. So anyway, the doctor drops to the ground. He does not die. His friends picked him up. They took him home to 59 Church Street. He dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment on November 2nd of 1786. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different back then, and he's a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself. So, but he failed because he died. So we are getting very close to that date of the alleged, because it depends on which version of the story you read. Some say it was 10 days later, some say he died 6 days later. We're never really going to know. All we know is his actual death date, but October 23rd would be the alleged date of the duel. Every tour that's down here is telling their guests to listen for the whistles, right? So we have 3 video cameras running, plus my voice recorder. If we're going to capture a whistle, it'll be there. I will tell you that we've had the word whistle show up on spirit boxes with the word doctor after it. So it'll be like a doctor. You know, kind of like he's just letting us know that he's here. Kind of mentality. We also get relevant numbers to his death date and his birthday all the time, especially his birthday. And I'm not going to tell you what those numbers are because I don't want you guys listening for those. But that kind of is the mentality of it. Here's what I'm going to tell you. This alleyway is a lot different. If you're going to try this on your own and try to take a voice recorder or your phones all the way down and try to listen for those whistles, just keep in mind that every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street is going to throw a whistle down the alley. We all do it. So I do it every single morning when I'm done going through your data, because my office is here, my parking garage we passed. So I have to pass the alley. I do it every morning at 3:30 to 4 o'clock. Do I get whistles back? Who knows? I don't always hear them back. Now, I will tell you that this alley didn't always go all the way through that way, the way we came in. Little history lesson for you here. This will show you how I got kicked out of here. This is the fun part of the story, by the way. So how I got booted out. There was a wall, probably maybe 15, 20 feet away from where we are. So the reason why is because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. It used to be called Cow Alley. So basically a bunch of cows and chickens are down here. What does that mean for you guys and why I'm telling you all of this? The bricks on the other side are older than the ones we're standing on. Those bricks are sun-dried from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there, and fingerprint swipes and others. If you go to some of our Charleston museums, you can actually see some of them on display. It shows kind of how far we've come from slavery. When I first started doing this and really didn't know what I was doing yet, I used to take my groups all the way through. And I would show the handprint because we all need to see it. It wasn't a ghost thing. It was like hey, here's a piece of history. However, when I have groups this size, they all want to huddle around that brick and wait and see what happens. I know nothing's going to happen because I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid's not there. That's the last place you're going to find him. So November 26th of 2020. I'll remember the date forever in my mind, forever. My entire group huddled. I'm trying to shoot them along because it's also outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I didn't realize that I was out of bounds. I was trying to shoot them along, just trying to be respectful. So the new owner of that mansion came out yelling at us. My daughter thought it was great because her dad's getting yelled at. She thought it was hysterical. And we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because before I started doing these tours, I actually worked for Walmart for almost 20 years. So you guys, in upper management. So you can almost see exactly why I don't tour on Thanksgiving. I used to break up the fights with the towels and TVs, right? So the next day was the 28th. I called my partner that I had at the time. I told him what happened. He laughed at me, just like my daughter did. And he said, you're only allowed to go down halfway. That's kind of how it works. That's the cutoff point. So you got to reroute the group. So I told my group, I don't believe in the next story at all because I've never had anything happen with my equipment there. And I'm a vampire person, not a pirate guy. So we're talking about pirates next, in case you haven't picked up on that piece. Before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them who we were going to be investigating. The famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. So it's kind of like, okay, maybe we got something. Just kind of like what we had shoot here a minute ago. We go around the corner. I told them what I did know about piracy. It wasn't much because I only had about 6 hours to research. And I told them I didn't believe in any of it anyway. However, somebody else hears the number 300. I don't know what that means in real time. I wrote it down. So I looked it up the next day. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300th year anniversary of her pirate trial. Some of you are like, yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. I was angry. Let me tell you why. I have a master's degree in creative writing, and even when I'm doing this or writing fiction, I like facts and data to be able to spin things off of or to see where things actually fall in line with legitimacy with ghost hunting. Because again, this is what I do. Joan actually asked me if she's like, you should do this for a living. I'm like, I do this for a living. So, I go to people's houses. I join other teams. I have expertises with spirit boxes. But my point is, with pirates, it's pirate lore. So that's the problem is that was written 100 years after the alleged happenings. So trying to piece it all together, I've had to read more books on pirates than I ever wanted to in my entire life, just to try to make sure like what we're about to talk about next is legitimate. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to go down a little bit further in front of that gate of where that last tour guide was, and we're going to listen to Donna's device for a few minutes, see if we get anything, and then we're going to go up and around the corner and talk about some stuff over there.
So you're still not allowed to stop down here?
Oh no, like where they're at right now, that's the stop.
Do those people in the house, they own the...
It's residential area. So just think if you lived there, and you had tourists
if you
passing
know
by
nuisance,
every night,
right? Yeah.
especially with the large groups that we just seen walk by. All right, let's listen in on Donna's device and see what we can get.
I'm up to 4.2.
Oh, we'll take that. Dr. Ladd, if you're here, can you give us a number from your birthday, please? That would be fantastic. Or anything else you want to tell us.
I'm going up.
Sorry. You've been steady right there, right? Yeah, that's coming from the light posts.
What was that?
There's something in there, I just couldn't make it out. Dr. Ladd, if you're here, make it nice and simple. Just give us a number from your birthday. How's our letters coming back there? Anything spelled out for us? Nothing. Dr. Ladd, if you're here, what do you want to tell us? You could say something like your own name. You can say, you know, your fiance's name, where we are.
Another group coming.
And another group coming. Go ahead and put that on mute. We're going to split the C's.
Big group. Full in, Jim.
How you doing?
Good evening. How are you?
Busy.
It's October.
Yeah. Busy month.
Yeah, this is also it's just as busy as July. But there's-
Break
or something for the kids?
no, it's just October. That's it. Everybody wants to do something spooky. All right, all gravy. Let's do this. Oh, one more group coming through. How's our word list? Where's that coming at?
Dignify? No.
What was
Dignity.
Dignity.
Dignity. Oh, I think that would be honor, dignity.
Yeah. It's kind of a stretch, but I like it. What was before that? Go ahead and hit that white box.
Dignity red, swell crystal shoot under, bitter engine, deserve purple.
Okay. I don't know where that red came from. Interesting. And then that top right button will take you back to the main screen whenever you're ready. All right, let's hit that on mute button. We'll listen for another minute or two because we're not getting anything so far. Just a couple of little EMF spikes. Anything else coming up on yours?
I'm going to 3.56.
Maybe it's me.
No.
No.
Dr. Ladd,
That's a video camera. Right?
anything you want to give us?
Oh, that's right. It's the stick man.
Stickman camera.
If we move over here, I got well over the core.
You're getting closer to the light in the building.
Oh.
Got it.
There's nothing.
You got a light behind you too.
When I put this in,
Nothing.
the number goes up steadily.
Yeah, probably because you're getting closer to that.
Right. When I turn around, it goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's picking up everything
Right.
else.
I noticed
Dr.
the other
Ladd?
ghost groups don't have the neat stuff that we have.
Landon?
No, they don't.
My daughter's name is London.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's the one that was laughing at me hysterically.
So he's reminding you.
Yeah. But I would think that London would show up before Landon. London's a little bit more common. I don't know. I heard go. Dr. Ladd, do you want us to leave?
Yes, yes. There's a woman that said
He said yes?
yes. I heard yes to a woman.
Well, yeah, I heard a man's voice when I thought it was a woman.
I can't distinguish her.
Yeah, it's not easy to do. It's definitely not an easy task. That's why I figured we'd do this one as a group. So you can see, like when I have teenagers in the group, they get the ones that go in their ears. So, and it's constant. Like if there's no breaks. Like this one's breaking up, there's no breaks. It's just constant the whole time. So whatever they hear, they just shout it out like they have Tourette syndrome. It's great. Okay, Dr. Ladd, I'll say goodnight. I will see you tomorrow, good sir. Hopefully you give me something else. Alright, let's go ahead and put that on mute.
I will.
Okay.
We're going to go back out the way we came. That particular archway, remember I told you that the alley didn't go all the way through? So in the event there was a loser to the duel, that was the shortcut to get over to the cemetery. So otherwise, I'd have to go all the way down to Queen Street and then double back with a dead body. So it's just taking away time to go celebrate the winter. So, but the wrought iron that's in there probably was put there in the 1900s. So, what happened?
My wife's taking some medicine.
Oh, is everything okay?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I seen her smile, so I know she's good. All right, so
When we
all
came in,
turn around here.
this was way over 6. And then it was 5 until we got about 10. Now it's 9.
and when we should be expecting next to a lamppost, where it should be a lot higher. So I'll write those numbers down for sure. So I don't always tell this piece of story. Oh, mansion. Interesting. Now you have the word mansion.
Oh.
But I figured we're going to add some extra stories in tonight, but every tour stops up at St. Philip's as their kind of grand finale. So I don't always tell this story unless something pops up with the devices about it, but we're going to kind of go through it, and then we're going to go up to the cemetery once they're gone and kind of show you why they're telling that story. There's a sign right inside the gate. It says, "There's no ghost here, but the Holy Ghost." And that's because they don't want guys like me going up there trying to recreate what actually happened. Here's how it goes. 1888, a young lady passes away by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. Anybody want to tell me what her initials are? It's cheesy and campy. It's okay. Sue Howard Hardy. You guys got it. All right. So, sorry, I had to throw some cheesy stuff in there. But anyway, so she unfortunately passes away 6 days after her stillborn child. It's a very sad story, I know. But in 1987, 99 years later to the day, a photographer is taking pictures of all of our beautiful cemeteries. And he captures a full apparition in one of his photographs. It's 1987. He doesn't have the technology in his own studio to be able to determine what's going on with his photograph. So he sends it off to Kodak. And Kodak can only confirm the camera that he said that he used and that nothing was done to the picture. So he gets it back, and for guys like me that study this and look up the top 100 apparitions ever caught, this is usually in that top 100. So all the other tours love to show you the photograph, but I am going to warn you that the photograph is allegedly cursed. Do I have any proof of that? I don't. But this being my profession, I have to tell you that females that handle it, even in a digital format on like my tablet that I'm about to show you, if you were holding it, it is said that you would get the same symptoms we talked about at the beginning. So kind of the headache, the nausea, the dizziness. And a pregnant female is probably going to have the same symptoms, but not a good pregnancy. You can get the gist of the story because it was a stillborn baby. I'm not going to be the guy where somebody had a great vacation and 9 months later I ruined their family. So again, I always ask when I show this picture,
Chances that are
part of
pretty
the reason
slim
why
with this
I
group.
took this story out. It's like I don't want to tell this all the time because again, it makes people uncomfortable. But I'm going to show you the photo because the apparition is very impressive, and I'm going to go down the line. The only thing I ask, don't touch the tablet as I show you the picture. As I kind of go down the line, and we'll go up with our crazy camera work after that tour leaves, and I'll show you the sign, and obviously we'll get a little bit of footage with all of our crazy cameras and see if we get anything while we're in there. So I think I did hand all the cameras to Jen tonight because I knew I was going to be telling this story. So I did do that, right? So I had a plan with walking into you guys, just so you know. Oh, perfect, they're leaving. Let's go up there, and I'll pull up the picture in the meantime.
Okay?
Yeah.
The whole family's go. Is this like Teen Mom?
They're all out.
Yeah.
All the college kids.
Yeah.
So you guys know. If you guys want to gather around, I'll kind of show this photograph real quick and take some pictures and a little bit of video in here. So here's the photograph that the photographer took. And what you're looking at is basically, you guys see where the cross headstone is back there on the right? It is just beyond that. So your apparition is right here. You're looking at the back of a woman. She's kneeled down by her own grave with a baby basket right next to her. You guys see what I'm looking at?
Yep.
Yeah, so you
Nope.
can see where like this, and even
Step in.
Like,
This way.
so the full photograph this way,
Mhm.
and then your apparition is right here. Back of a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket right next to her. So even zoomed in further on a computer screen, you can actually see the weaving of the basket. Like that's how clear it is. So it is pretty impressive for guys like me that study this on a regular basis.
Did you take that?
I did not. This was the one I told you that was taken in 1987. So there have been other things caught around that grave on the same date, but nothing as clear as this. Like, I've looked at them, like, they're pretty wispy, could be debunked pretty easily by a light fixture, which, by the way, that light fixture up to the left is actually directed right at us, so guys, people like us can't take pictures and photographs. It's pointed right at the sign right here. It says there's no ghost here besides the Holy Ghost. So they do that so we get a light blur, and that way we can't take pictures and stuff that we need to, but my camera's cut right through that stuff, doesn't it? So I'll let you guys kind of like look in there for just a second, especially the camera, so you guys can get a minute or two of footage, and then we will go across the street and talk about some crazy pirates and see what we can get out of that mess.
Turn on this.
If you want to, we'll give it a minute or so, see if we get anything out. And that date that she passed away, by the way, was June 12th, so it was on the exact date of when she passed away.
That's why would I be getting
Are you getting sticks over there?
I missed the point of the picture completely. Cross.
No. I just got I know. There was someone took a picture of a woman and girl.
Oh, the ghost.
How's our word was coming, John? Got anything on there?
Translate. Sanctity. Sanctity.
Sanctity?
Sanctity and I know.
I got you. I hear you. He's excited.
Who would that be talking?
And calm. Sanctity, I know, and calm.
Well, those are being written down for me. So,
Sorry.
I mean, we're near a cemetery, so I mean, there could be a number of things coming through, but it's another reason, or it's not always a full investigation here, because we never know who we're talking to when we're this close to a cemetery. But hopefully, around the date of Sue's death, we would hope we were talking to her. But we're not near that date, so the things that she's getting coming through, I have no idea what's coming through. We do get a lot of religious terms, no matter where we are in this vicinity, starting with Philadelphia Alley, just based on the church. Stuff comes up all the time.
So we got I know and sanctity.
Got it. I wrote them down already. All right, so we ready to learn about pirates?
Yes.
All right.
There's a new term.
And why?
Are you
guys doing a ghost story too? We are. Are you missing some people?
Nope, I already got all my photos. This lady calling out her phone. This lady you're calling out her phone. But the details is one of the more than thank you.
Yeah. Quick hands.
Yeah. And he can see through clothing.
Oh, is that what kind of camera he's got, huh?
It's been more entertaining than you think. Hey, we picked a good night to walk around town.
really trying to find to see if there's a tie in there because we do have Swamp Fox Marion. So that's a thing, obviously around here, but there's no history of him around this specific spot. Like you kind of look at the vicinity. So when you said Fox, like that was the first thing that popped in my head. Like we're not near his grave. Obviously, we're not near Francis Marion Forest. We're not near anything of prominence to him. So I'm still going to write it down just to see if there is to kind of remind me to research it a little bit because I've never had anything with Francis Marion over here. But again, Fox would be easy to spell because it's only 3 letters. But so why did we get it? That's kind of my thing. I know you've been getting X's all night, and we're about to talk about pirates where X marks the spot. But again, I like when words come up. Usually they have a pretty deep, understanding of something. So most tours when they come through here, by the way, and I do get a lot of poachers, like what just happened. Like people will try to sneak on, and then I'm like, you don't have a blinky light device. You need to go. So I keep them
helpful.
Yeah, exactly. And another reason why I keep the small groups and try to remember everybody's name, which I think I've still got a few of you mixed up. I thought I'd be really good with you guys tonight. And it's honestly, it's the 2 of you. I think I keep getting mixed up. So it's Dennis.
Yes.
And Dave.
Very good.
The D's.
The D's, right.
Well, last night everybody's name started with an A or a K. Like literally everybody on the tour. It was the craziest thing ever. All the tours will come through here and talk about the Gunpowder magazine. Have you guys been here and heard about this place? Okay, we're going to be looking at it in a little bit of a different light. I like to at least tell people like what those crosses are on the building first. So if you're unfamiliar, earthquake bolts. So you guys lived here, you've taken history tours, earthquake bolts. I bring those up specifically because that's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. That's part of the reason why we're here. The reason those are the first set is because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We're here simply because Anne Bonny came here during the time frame of this building being constructed, and it's something familiar to her. So on the TV shows, they use another device with a teddy bear, and it basically has Richard's device in it, so you can see the lights blinking, so the child ghost will come close, and you can see it light up. They do that because the child is familiar with the toy. It's the same type of principle with this building. We don't have any buildings this particular age group, if you're getting my point. So Anne would recognize this building. But the building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government, small building? 10 years?
Yeah, about...
I'll answer for you. But our history begins, Dennis, your camera is upside down. So we're going to have it upside down.
Well, you didn't tell me there was a
Okay, I'll try to fix it. Well, the camera, I always tell him horizontal camera on the left, and he had it on the right. But anyway, so the history, yeah, just look at it like this. The history of Anne Bonny starts right in the middle of that construction of 10 years. So try to follow me. There's a few twists, and I will slow down on the twists. 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Everybody with me? Okay, 3 of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was she that she kicked them out of the damn country and they had to come here by boat? There's no airplanes. 1708, folks. They land in Georgetown. You guys all know where that is, right?
Yep.
Dad bought a plantation. That means, and Mom died pretty quickly. Dad is now sending young Anne down here to sell things from the plantation to help keep things afloat. Hence the familiar building. That's why we're here. Anne back home in Ireland was said to be kind of a badass back then. They say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly when Anne was only 7, 8, or 9 years old. Yeah, kind of giving you the mentality of this young lady as we kind of move through her story. Now, let's fast forward. The building's done in 1713, but by 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown, and Anne's pretty excited. Reason why, she's going to fall in love with one of these gents, so that way she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world during these times. So the first guy she falls in love with, and I said first, simply because there's a handful. We're going to touch them all, because that's what makes the story so good. First guy is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going. We mentioned her pirate name already. So, right, so father didn't approve, so they run away to Jamaica. They get married, and Cormac became Anne Bonny. So when she gets down there, she realizes that this guy she just married is not the Captain Jack Sparrow kind of type of character that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. This isn't who she wants. She falls in love again a few years later. Guy number 2. This is John Rackham. Everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you were wondering who this is. Calico Jack has his own ship. He has his own crew. Anne wants to be part of that crew. You can't put a female on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why? Keep it family friendly. Yeah, I see some of your wheels spinning.
The obvious reason.
The obvious reason, yes, but in pirate lore, it's bad luck.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it simple. You guys overthink things. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like my crew, you can be part of the crew. But you're going to be a lady in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world, but we're all adults here. Let's put 2 and 2 together. She's a lady in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. And then they're going to vote Jack off as captain because there is a democracy on every ship. So Jack, before she starts to show her pregnancy, drops her off in Cuba. Have the baby here with these friends of mine. They'll help you out and come back later. We will figure it out then. She goes and has that baby, but returns without a child. We have no idea what happened to that baby. No amount of my research has ever found it. But she comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. Now everybody's going to know he let a lady on the ship, and to make him even more mad, she's going to go flirting with the pirate crew that he just captured. They're down below deck in handcuffs. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a lady, dressed like a male, trying to be a pirate. That you guys are getting the point. So now we have 2 females on the same ship trying to be pirates. This young lady's name was Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure because of the time frame and the pirate lore. But the British find out where they are. They send an entire fleet of Navy ships to come take down one measly pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1-bullet flintlocks. That's not going to do a whole lot of firepower against a whole fleet of Navy ships. Obviously, they get arrested, and they only have those guns because they don't know how to use cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. Anne looks at her captain in bow, Calico Jack, and she says, "I'm sad to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up a lot on the communication devices, just so you know. Now the judge, he wants to see the 2 men that fought back on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front of the judge and reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. The judge does not care that they're female. They're still pirates. He's going to hang them anyway. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they shouted, because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging, and Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary. We don't really know. She has 4 children, dies at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending because we don't know much about her after her pirate career, and what we do know is speculated. And there are so many different versions of that story, we don't have enough time of what happened to her after her pirate career. Mary Reed died 5 months later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imaginations. Most books will tell you that it was something simple like fever. I say let's make it romantic and call it scurvy. We're talking pirates. Why the hell not? So, a couple of questions that we're going to be asking over here, and we can go over towards that wall and get closer to the powder magazine, but I'm not... with this one, this is not a prominent English woman that we have to tiptoe around. We can kind of kick Anne in the shins here a little bit to kind of try to get some answers out of her. But couple of things I did leave out on purpose that you guys don't know are the names of Anne Bonny's parents. I called them the father and the mistress on purpose, just so we'd have something to work with. The name of Calico Jack's ship. The name of the city where Anne grew up in Ireland, and the color of her hair. We did get it on the word list earlier. It was the word red, and we got it while we were in Philadelphia Alley. That's called bleed over. So unless we have something else relative to Anne Bonny over there, I'm not going to call it relative here yet until I have a concrete, put my stamp that it's paranormal kind of stuff. So we're going to go over by that wall because there is a little ledge there where some of you can sit down if you want to, and we're going to do the spirit box session with Donna again, just like what we've been doing, and then I'll tell you about our last space. It's a little different than what we've been doing. So let's go see if we can go talk to a pirate. It sounds like a good time. You can keep that running.
Okay. Ooh, sorry. I don't know if I've ever seen this building before. Yeah.
Original purpose of the building.
Yeah.
Seat.
Yes, I'll take it.
Well, be careful when you go down.
It's down and it's low.
It's slow.
Right.
Construction was to be a gunpowder magazine.
Why the cost?
Because this is a government.
It's brick.
It held gunpowder for the government. So the reason why, and I know that that earthquake took place in 1886, but they wanted to make sure that that was going to happen again, which it hasn't, that the government building was protected. So that's why those are the first steps. So that's the reason. So yeah, we're talking like 100 years after this.
Okay.
When you
Over 100 years later. So I want to say those were actually put in 1892, even though the building was built in 1713. They just wanted to make sure it was going to be protected in case we got another earthquake.
When you were talking about Aunt Bonnie and what she died from, the speculative TB came up.
Like tuberculosis.
Oh my goodness. Maybe.
It's a possibility. I can't prove it, but it's a great possibility. At least we have something. Donna, do we have any voices?
in order.
Is that what you heard? In order.
And drop test or something? Not sure what. Drop test?
How's our word list coming?
Good, the garden writer, include intellectual theme, drift always,
Oh
July.
goodness.
You got July?
Yeah.
Yes. July, we asked for the doctor's birthday, and we normally hear double sevens, July 7th.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that one. That's a win. So it's a little late, but at least he gave it to us. So hopefully we have a 7 that'll pop up later on. In order. I don't think Donna's playing very nice.
She's ignoring us.
I know, it's because I'm talking. She's trying to listen.
It's hard to separate the static.
Yeah.
List.
What list, Ann? What do you want us to know? What's about this list? I don't know what that means. In order list? Like, what is going on there? Like, that sounds like she's trying, like it's something coming through.
But she said man.
Can, I have can.
Man?
Can. She has can.
Weird, some of these words I'm not seeing here.
Because they come through really
Are
fast.
you ready? Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Okay, Ann, we're ready. We're listening. What do you got? Give us some of those answers. Tell us your dad's name. What was your father's name?
Do you know the answer? Or bad thing?
Yeah, I don't give you stuff I don't already know.
Shout it out.
It said shout. Ann, what was your father's name? You can use any of the boxes that we're using tonight. Ann, can you tell us what's walking by? What type of animal are we hearing right now? What kind of animal is walking by? Can you tell us what you see?
Fine.
I like to ask a lot of real-time questions just to make sure we have verification. No numbers at all on your end?
Tell me.
See what highest we've been.
And you got that electrical pole right there.
Big power lines up there.
Still gonna give up a little bit.
Talk to us.
And
Tell us what we need to know.
she did. She said, find the man on the list in order. And can you tell us anything about Mr. Blackbeard and his history here?
Beaking. Yeah. Do you see if they can tell words like that? BQ. No. We have a lot of cues too.
And if you're here, we've asked you a few questions. Try to answer some of them. You just saw an animal go by. We asked for your father's name. I missed it. That car is too loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Houston.
Is it Houston?
I thought it said,
Yeah.
Addie? Addie? A-D-D what? Why did you ask that?
That's what?
That's what that just said. Why did you
Ow.
ask that?
We're old.
I'll get old or something.
Yeah, I was old.
Amazing.
You guys are getting good at this. And we're looking for your father's name. Can you give that to us, please? Get some verification that you're here.
This car's not going to leave.
It was Dad.
No other letters?
C.
And tell us what we need to know before we wrap this one up. We heard a lot of terms, we just don't know what they mean. Guy's car stinks.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Oh my God.
It's an older
It's
car.
an old BMW.
Yeah.
No, it's just old.
No, it's probably what, like a
80s.
Not that old. Yeah, 80s.
80s.
With the front end sort of.
Nuts?
Oh,
You get nuts?
What do you got on there now?
Next.
Next.
Yeah, next.
And,
Alright, he's leaving.
alright, now that he's leaving, we'll give it another minute.
something man.
Something man again.
C keeps coming up. Chuck.
There is a Charles Pinckney across the street. Two of them, actually.
Yeah.
The same cemetery that we were just looking at.
Take you back?
Eliza's husband and nephew were buried across the street.
Okay.
And you gotta be a little bit more specific. You know how these boxes work. It's not like I'm not here every... Your father's name or your mother's name. We'll take your mother's name at this point. Notice I didn't say mom and dad. That's not a thing that's going to be said in the 1700s. I use mother and father. I try to talk to the boxes. I don't say spirit box. She doesn't know what that is. You know, I try to keep the language very plain. And we got another one of those animals coming by. Can you tell us what we're seeing or what we're hearing? A lot of clip clopping.
Must be a reindeer. An R came up.
That was, I don't know. That didn't sound like radio to me. Are you still on next?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants to talk tonight.
And we're being very brief in these spaces, just so you know. Like normally in an investigation, I'm here for hours
Oh, I
doing
get
this.
that.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're in here like 10 to 15 minutes at a time. It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have a lot of things that you heard, and along with the next could have been the, hey, you need to get the hell out of here kind of thing.
Move on.
So,
That's what I'm thinking.
and we're gonna say goodnight. Can you say goodnight back to us?
It's a kiss.
Good night,
She
Ann.
gives a kiss.
I
Toodles.
was trying to hit that mute button. Let's cover the answers and tell you what we're doing next, because I'm going to take Joan the third over there, and we're going to show men they were just killed by a woman. Remember, she's wearing male pirate garb, so again, she kind of has to show off that she's a female, and it was kind of like a ha-ha, you got
She's
killed
a
by a
badass.
girl. You right?
Badass.
Obviously,
Is that a real picture of her? Or
it's
is
a painting.
Painting?
Painting. There's a lot of different depictions of Anne Bonny, but obviously being born in the 1700s, we're not going to have actual photos. There was a lot of tobacco advertisements with her painting on there as well, but you can imagine like it's usually just from the neck up. So I wanted, like, obviously you guys just heard a crazy pirate story, but yeah, it's a great, you know, is this something from her? This is a depiction of her, of one of the many, many things. Father's name, William Cormac. Mother's name, Mary Brennan. So this was not another subliminal trick with the two Marys in the story, because we did have Mary Read from the ship, but Mary, we just happen to have two different Marys in the story. Mary Brennan was a servant for the Cormac family. Now you can all guess how Dad met Mom.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a whole other 30-minute scandal we're not going to cover. The name of the city where Anne grew up in Ireland was Cork, Ireland. So Cork has been showing up from time to time more and more often, so I kind of started throwing that question out there when I have, you know, all the spirit boxes running. I also like to show you what Calico Jack looked like, simply because everybody wants to see what they based Johnny Depp off of, because it's hilarious. Calico Jack was named that because of the jackets that he wore. They came from British captains that he killed. So,
Oh, he wore their jacket?
he wore their jackets. Basically, Jack's father was a tailor. So, textiles were very important to the Rackham family.
Oh, and that's where the calico comes in.
Calico Jack basically means fancy jacket. Depending on which pirate book you're reading, they also say that that's where the phrase fancy pants comes from. But I think Jack and jacket make a whole lot more sense to me, so I use the Jack and jacket part. The name of his ship was called the Kingston. So this is also an instance where I don't always expect the full word Kingston to pop through a spirit box this way. The word king would suffice if we were asking that as a direct question and got that as a direct answer. We are listening to Charleston radio stations where the word Kingston is not going to be something we hear on our radio. With the word king, somebody might be talking about something going on King Street, and we actually had a specific instance where that actually popped up. Much easier to grab. So where we're going next is we're going to be putting a little helmet on Joan III over there, and we're going to put my phone in it. And it's going to be a little virtual reality experiment where it's going to generate images based on where we are. It's going to use the EMF around our space. We will also be listening in, so basically Donna and Tim, right? Look at me getting the right name now. These two are going to sit on a bench because I don't want him walking around with a VR helmet on. And he's basically going to tell us the images that he's seeing at the same time we're all listening to Donna's device. Normally I would take a person with the earbudded spirit boxes and I would also blindfold them and put both earbuds in their ears with noise canceling headphones, and they would talk to me as if they're the ghost, not knowing the history of what to listen for. So I normally keep them excluded. We're doing it a little different tonight because we're not using the earbudded spirit boxes. So we're going to run it a little bit different, but we're still going to use this VR imaging. It does create these images through artificial intelligence. So basically the readings we've been getting from our EMF meters, it's going to translate that into some type of image. I don't know what the images are going to be because it's different every day. They're developed by artificial intelligence. Have you guys ever seen AI work before?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The best.
I'm
really into it. I love it.
I use it on a regular daily basis to create social media posts. So I will basically tell Bing of exactly what I want, and it will create an image for me and give me 4 options to choose from. I slap my logo on it, and then I put it on social media, and I make funny things out of it, like a skeleton on a tricycle in a cemetery, you know, that kind of thing. So I would tell
Dolly? Is that Dolly?
I don't know which format that it's using.
Okay.
It might be Dolly. I think there's an option to use GBT. But I use, it's a Bing in my phone just makes it the easiest way possible for me to be able to use it. But it is a lot of fun. But basically, in essence, the AI that's being generated, we get some very interesting images out of this. So some of them, like we can make out right away what they are, but some of them are going to be like, what is that? Until you really get a really good look at it. The cool thing for you guys is you're all going to see those images that he's seeing in his helmet after he's done, because I'm going to show them to you. And then it's also going to be in that link for your data tomorrow morning once I get that up to you. So that way you'll have all of those and really take a look at them on your computers. All right, we're going to go up about, by the way, did you guys all park over by Crew Cafe?
Yes.
actually parked right up by.
Yeah, he saw our car.
Yeah.
We're in the parking garage.
Oh, that's right.
I think I parked right across the street.
Yeah, because this is, like, we're going to be going this way. Yep, this is Cumberland.
That's where I
Yeah,
parked.
that's where we.
Okay, so most of you will be walking with me because my office is on the other side of that, and then you're literally like a block and a half away from your vehicles. So it's only about a 6 to 8 minute walk away from our ending point. Again, we don't go far. We only go half a mile. Like, it's just, we spend more time together than the normal average tourist. I don't look at the watch either. We just go. I'm that guy. I'm like, I don't care. The wife's at home sleeping. I'm out here working. Let's do this. All right, let's go blindfold some people. Let's see what we can do with this.
All right.
telling you.
It's super fast.
We're
I know.
warm.
Okay.
I renew these devices every 6 months, so this one's literally on its 6 month delay. I'm trying to get through October with it before I order the new one. They're very expensive as a full year.
So say when you hit this button,
So I always try to.
it shows you warm
We're not on.
area.
There we go.
I'll
Hop on.
get this Charles.
Okay.
Pick me.
Okay.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Warm area Charles.
Maybe Charles was around here?
We talked about a lot of things. Where did that Charles show up here?
Just now?
Yeah,
Well,
I didn't see it until I went to the list.
Let me look at the
It
timestamp.
was in date and then
So we are at 9:57 right now.
so we came in here as area. So it must have happened.
That's what we saw.
And you also have the word cow on there for
Yeah.
Cow Alley.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Yep, have a seat, because you're going to be the one on the bench anyway.
Okay, good.
So, like I said, first time I came in here, I only had 2 folks. It was November, it was cold, everybody else canceled. So I said, we're going to try out some new spaces, let's see what happens. A lot of tours come in here as well. I just don't know what they're talking about. I don't pay attention to it. I'd rather see what the evidence gives me. So, basically, the person using the spirit box heard the year 1828, very specific, and the name Henry, very specific. I was using the word list, and the name Tim showed up. That bust on the other side, where all of those people are crowded around, that is Henry Timrod, born in 1828. So he's not buried there, it's just a memorial to him. So it's kind of like, okay, I was surprised. Like, maybe that's my ghost. So, here's how his story goes. And it's very quick and brief because I like to keep this one brief to get the answers out of the blindfold test. But we're going to see what happens as far as the virtual reality piece. So sorry, you guys are all trying to like jump in on the bench now. I got you guys all excited to sit down. Now, Henry, being born in 1828, is obviously old enough to go fight for the Civil War, for the Confederates. So he goes out to the battlefield. His comrades realize he's too sick to fight. He's been sick through most of his life. So they sent him home, basically asking him to go be the voice of the war because they knew he was a writer. They wanted him to come home and write about what was going on the battlefield to kind of help the cause. So he comes home, he starts writing poetry about what's going on out there, and he becomes known as the Laureate of the Confederacy. It's a pretty prestigious title in case you're not familiar with the literary world. Now, a couple of years go by, and he has a son. His son's name is Willie, and he was born on Christmas Eve, but he dies 9 months later. Again, I talk to you guys all the time about dead kids, unfortunately. That's just kind of the sad emotions that come up with these. So, it's very sad for him and his wife, Katie. But a few more years go by, and Henry's not writing as much poetry as what he's normally accustomed to for the paper that he works for. And his college friend, another writer from Charleston, Paul Hamilton Hayne, sees that he's not writing as much. And he says, you know what, go borrow my cottage in Columbia and get back on track. Leave your wife, Katie, behind, so that way she can mourn with her parents that were also visiting her here. So he goes out to that cottage, and that's where he wrote his last words. His last words were, "Beholder of brief mortality." And then he coughs, and it lands on the page in a blood stain. He had tuberculosis. He had that TB that showed up earlier for you, wrong space. So that's kind of like, damn it, wrong spot. Now, the interesting thing about that tuberculosis stain that's on there is it's still there, and it's in the shape of a man writing at his desk. It was the perfect legendary mark for him to leave behind. We call it the Blood Book. They show it at the Charleston Library Society every year on Halloween only. You have to be a member of that library society to be able to go see the book, and it's the only day that you can see it. The internet is beautiful. I'm going to show you what this page looks like, and then we're going to get Mr. Tim here all geared up with his headset, and we're going to continue recording and watching our monitors of EMF to see what we can get out of this guy, and then this will be the wrap-up of our night. Just so you know, we will also turn on Donna's spirit box to see if we can get any communication out of Mr. Timrod at the same time. This is his blood book. I will go from right to left on this end. So, full page, beholder of brief mortality, cough, cough, death. There is your blood stain.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Really good, creepy story for us to end with. So, full page, you can see where he left off. But beholder of brief mortality basically translates to dear person with short life. And then he coughs and dies right on the page, pen in hand. So, Henry can be a little timid, especially when there's this many people around. I don't think I've ever been in here, because remember, we scheduled earlier than my normal time. So I normally start my normal routes at 9 o'clock, not 8 o'clock. By the time I get here at 11 to 11:30, this place is wiped out. There's nobody here. So we're going to see how this is actually going to go with any kind of communication. But I'll be taking your camera, Tim, and I'm going to hand you the new one. So that way you can put it on your face and we'll see what happens out of this. And you're going to give us basically whatever you see out of there, and as a quick description of what you see. So, do I need to do a demo for what AI looks like when you guys see it? You guys all got the gist of it?
Does anyone need a demo? Yeah, most of them have any sense.
So I'll do a quick demo just like what I told you from that Bing piece and just show you how it kind of generates so you guys kind of have an idea of how it works. So I'm going to tell Bing exactly what I want it to do and what style, and I'm going to be very specific in detail so that way you guys can see how quickly and accurate this would actually work. Create a fantasy style image of 11 people sitting around a bench in a park at night with 3 trees around us and a full moon in the sky. So she says, I'll try to create that, and then she will take about a minute or two, and then she'll give me 4 images. I'll bring them up on the screen and kind of flip through them so you guys can see the details of what I just told her to do. But when Tim is looking at those images coming through, it's based on the EMF that's around my phone in his headset that it's creating those images. So I asked for 11 people standing around a bench in a park at night with a full moon in the background. So you can kind of see.
So Bing has that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, neat.
And it gives me 4 options
Pretty cool.
Yeah, really
to be able
neat.
to choose from. And it gave it the style of art that I wanted as well. So I used comic book style because that draws a lot of people, fantasy art style. And I also use this, and I know TikTok may seem like a social media platform that not everybody's comfortable with, but I do tell a lot of these stories through TikTok using AI imagery. So I will tell it, give me somebody in a cobblestone alley with a gun pointed in the air. That shows the point of Dr. Ladd, who pointed his one thing in the air. So, and again, it draws people in of like, oh, who is this guy telling these stories that he takes people out ghost hunting with? But you can definitely see what you're going to be getting. It's not going to be this detailed. It might look a little like blurry or convoluted. But again, just wanted to give the idea of how this is going to work.
But how are his images coming?
So it is
I
translating.
didn't understand that.
So the way this designs it is the app that's designed is it's using the EMF that's going to be, it's measuring it from my phone using the magnetometer, just like we use our GPS.
Okay.
So it's taking that and translating it into like words like what I just told the phone to do. It's just translating it in a much different way.
I see. Oh, I see.
That's why artists don't
But it's
like
an
AI.
app designed for this.
That's why artists
Basically
don't
what
like
it's designed
AI.
So let's get you all geared up.
He just did in 3
Donna, go
seconds,
ahead
so
and
we're
get
taking
yours
artists.
unmuted. Let's start
No
listening
data,
in on
Joe.
that guy. Let me get rid of all of the last few images that we've had from the last tours, and we're going to start off fresh.
I've never seen that before though.
So once I get this set up, you're going to see gray smoke in your lens, and you're just going to tell us everything that's not gray smoke. Like you're just going to have a floating picture there, and you're going to tell us what the picture is, basically. And then we definitely want to keep an eye on like our word lists and all of the other things that are going on. We've had EMF all the way up to 167 during these sessions. So
If anyone else wants to sit,
I was asking anyone who wants to sit.
yeah, you kind of have to sit. All right, Tim, if anything gets blurry in there, you're going to turn this dial so that way you can see it a little bit better. You may want to take your glasses off, and then this will go over your head. Everything's been sanitized, just so you know, so I'm really a big stickler about making sure everything's clean. So, this is the only thing that I actually do time, so we're going to keep him under there for about 10 minutes and see what we get. It is 10:05 right now. Have we had any voices yet?
My phone turns off.
Henry?
My watch turns off at 10.
We're not doing the blindfold test tonight.
Well,
We're
the screen
using
does.
green box. So whatever you want, this is Mr.
Yeah, I
Tim.
know. I know.
Anything you want Tim to see, you just show him, and he'll tell us what he sees in there.
I think he said who's there. Tim. Yay.
It's Tim.
Right now there's just a kaleidoscope of colors.
Okay. Any particular color stand out?
Although it just seems quite drastic. There's a quote.
Okay. And you might see
Wanna
one
sit
image,
down?
you might see 10. I have no
Go for
idea
it.
how many it's going to generate. That's the beauty of this. Totally random. Yeah, you might want to keep an eye on that. That's the one we've gotten a 167 on in here before.
So far 0.
Mr. Timrod, if you could show us something relevant to your occupation, that would be fantastic. Any of your writing tools, paper. We don't have to be all bloody and gory tonight.
So far, just
More smoke. So, again, I normally go much later. So, with all of these people in here, I never know. I mean, Henry's a pretty timid guy, and October is a rough month for him.
I gotta sit calm. Call on me.
I'm more interested in the EMFs that we're
Tommy,
going
you're
to get.
good at this. You're a good one to pick. It's hard. I mean, it's hard.
You don't want to. You don't want it's hard to decipher.
Assume something.
No letters at all?
No, but south.
In the Civil War, I mean, he did fight for the South.
Oh.
It's vague, but it's
Right, that's right. Yeah.
still there. See why you guys keep me around?
Yeah.
Put all the clues
We
together.
couldn't figure it out ourselves.
Henry, we're looking for anything relevant to your occupation. I'm trying to keep things nice and simple, but I know October is a very rough month for you. It's the anniversary of his death and his son's death. So, 156 years on him, 157 years on his son.
Yeah, I thought it said date of someone.
Killed.
Was
I heard
killed.
that.
I heard that. Yeah, that was very cool. Something was killed. So, as poet laureate, would he have written about that specifically?
He wrote about the Civil War and what he saw out there.
Everybody.
Henry, do you want to tell us more about what type of writing you did? What else you saw out there? You can show us as well. We can see the visuals through the green box tonight. This is Tim. You can see whatever you want to see.
Nothing, Tim?
nothing but clouds.
He's smoking a cigar in there right now.
Looks like clouds.
I do that, otherwise if it's just black, people tend to like doze off. I was like, I better put some kind of motion in there.
Occasionally it gets very dark, but then
Like it's trying to do something.
yeah.
Okay. Henry, I know we're on a different bench tonight too. I know it's very crowded in here tonight. We would appreciate any specific communication coming directly from you as a direct answer. He's been under for almost 6 minutes already. See how fast this goes. Something there. It sounded like shell.
Words.
What was his job? Words.
I just went up to 3.6.
I like it. Thank you, Henry. If that was you, we'd like a little bit more.
Pause.
Can you give us the name of your wife? Let's talk about something pleasant for you. What was the name of your wife? I'll take her maiden name as well. Can you tell us your wife's name?
I thought I got something. Goldie 5 with Bible.
What time era are you looking at?
looks like it could have been the 1600s.
1600s?
Well, it looks like a castle. It's like a black and white, has a number of windows, and it looks like yep, that's very detailed.
Wow. Cool.
Henry, can you tell us what was in that picture? Like, what did we just see? Is that a fort?
No.
That was pretty clear.
No.
Then what was it?
At the same time this came up. No.
Yeah, mine seems to be going up too, and like we're
Did yours
communicating
say
here
no?
and here.
It says
This is
N-O-R.
north.
Nor.
North.
At the same time you said no, it popped up.
Henry, what is that in there? We see that you're trying to give us images. What is it? Yeah. Can you give us the date of your death? That was pretty close to our date now. What was that?
Stay around?
That's what it said, yeah.
Henry, what was the date of your death, please? I was trying not to bring that up because it was pretty close to our date now.
See anything, Tim?
The clouds, smoke.
Open us the door.
What if that was his ancestry? In England or something like that?
It looked like it might have been something from Britain.
Well, his wife, well, actually, Timrod's mother was French.
I mean, castle. Yeah.
I know. I want to see it.
It looked just like a castle, but it looked, it had spirals on either end of it and a number of windows.
Okay, Henry, we're getting pretty close to the end here.
I've got something, a man's face.
What's he look like? Any facial hair?
I can't see the top of his head. Yes, he has a beard.
Okay.
Has a beard. Very dark eyes.
I gotta see it.
Treatment, something like that.
Timrod had a very caterpillar-style mustache. Like, he was known for that. That's why I asked for the facial hair.
He had a sideburns or a beard, but he didn't have a mustache.
Okay.
But when the images come through, it's so clear.
Really?
Henry, we're down to a minute. What else do you want us to see or hear? Better yet, what are we hearing right now? What sound is that? We've had bells spelled out on that when I've asked that question in the past.
You have what spelled out?
Bells,
Oh,
whenever the
wow.
church bells go off.
Oh my God.
It's come up on yours. We've had it out of a blindfold person that doesn't know I asked that question. Like, it comes up all the time. That's why I was like, better yet, I know the bell question is an easy one for him. Henry, what did we just hear from the church? One more image, Henry, and we'll close it down. Show us whatever you want us to see over land. Probably talking about the war going on right now, but over land. Henry, one more image, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll leave you alone. Electricians.
And this bit. I thought I heard breakfast.
Schedule.
It is the 14th?
Yeah.
Yes.
Friday the 13th.
So almost 2 weeks ago would have been the anniversary of his death.
Here's something
And-
now.
Are you seeing anything now?
Yes, I'm seeing. It looks like a construction of a building. There are people sitting on benches. There are.
Is it us?
That's what I'm wondering.
There's people sitting over on one side, and there's construction of almost like, look more like metal structure that become a
Like a
building.
metal frame?
Yeah.
Okay. You still there?
No, it went away.
All right. Let's get that thing off your face. Put you on mute. I want to see these images that you saw. I'm always super interested to see how these images turn out.
Yeah. No, that's very cool.
They're interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they were very specific too when it came out.
And that's why I try, when I give that example, like I try to be as specific as possible to show you how these things are going to actually work. So your barrage of colors was a bay. It's ship going into a dock.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So you were probably getting used to the focal point of trying to get used to So I've had dock pictures show up here in the past. So again, that's interesting. I've never had it in that color format before. Like it almost looked like a photograph. Last ones I've had here.
That was the only thing.
Oh,
I
the
was
castle.
There's our castle. I'd make them bigger, but you have to like zoom in and it takes away all the. So
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like.
interesting piece, right?
Definitely looks like that.
Yeah,
It
I
is,
could see where like there's a damsel in distress in the tower on that one for sure.
Yeah, well, the spirals on either side of it. Kind of what
This is statuesque. So we are near a bust of Timrod. He doesn't look anything like that. That looks more Greek mythology to me.
Yeah,
so I'm not
because I
gonna.
couldn't make out the area where the ears are. I couldn't tell whether that was earring or.
Looks more just like
It's just a sidewalk.
yeah.
That's the last thing I saw with the.
This is a fence. This is a fenced-in yard, almost like a jail, because there's like barbed wire at the top.
I couldn't see it quite
So
clearly.
You can see
There's two people sitting over to the right hand.
that they're all
Kind of a
standing like
prison.
against the prison wall, prison fence.
no idea what this one means. So
Hmm.
I'm going to dive into
I just
that
got a
castle
9.2.
piece. That I'm just going to call it the castle at this point. So a wonderful thing for us is we have Google Lens. So sometimes we'll get birds or flowers or something I can't identify. I just throw it in Google Lens, and Google will tell me exactly what it is.
It's great for shopping too.
Oh.
I'll take a picture of something I like and
So
see where I can find it.
these two figures
Cool.
over on the far right hand side were just that clear. I mean, I could see someone there, but I couldn't make. Yeah, I couldn't see all the other people. If you'll notice in the picture, they're kind of faint
Yeah.
in
So
the image.
we don't think this is. Can somebody actually project that with a knife?
So I have had interception of Dr. Ladd here before, only because the house that he actually lived in was 0.3 miles from here, like it was 1 block away. And then I've had Marguerite Vault, the monument over there. I was actually surprised that we didn't hear anything from her come over on this side too, because I normally will sit over on that bench underneath that lamppost to the right of it, because that's the closest one to Henry's monument, but it was crowded with people.
Right.
So I just kept this over here, and I was curious to see if we would get something from Marguerite
I
again.
walked over there.
Go for it. I'm going to start collecting things over here and wrapping things up.
Okay.
That's